I'm starting at the back of my yard. I'm planning to get a timer to water my garden every morning for about 15 minutes. But I will need someone to come and check to see if is anything to be harvested. You can see these little white bags. Those are some tomatoes that are already starting to mature, and so I suspect that while we're gone they will be ready to harvest, and you can take those tomatoes home and enjoy them. There's a possibility that I could have some eggplant in here. I haven't seen it so far, so I don't know that I will. And you can feel free to pluck off some basil. There's some basil on this side. There's actually some basil under here. I think I'll be able to get to it because I can't seem to figure out where it is. It's in there somewhere. There's some thyme. You can pluck off a little bit of thyme. Get you some herbs. There will definitely be some cucumbers. So these vines that you see, just kind of look through those vines and see if you see any cucumbers that are ready to harvest, and you can have whatever is ready. They're little small pickling cucumbers, so they'll be kind of small. And then here's my other basil. There's also Swiss chard, and actually this is ready to be harvested, so I might just get that before I leave. But it should, basically, if you do decide you want to get a little bit, you would just just cut off right here, and just take the leaf and leave the plant in the ground, and it'll continue to grow. So for basil, just pluck off some of the leaves, and you can take some of that as well. So those are two different basils. There's the other one over there that I told you about, and then this one over here. So they're two different types of basil. And I do have another one in there, but I can't quite see it right now. So that's all you'll be doing here. In the garden itself, you will have to hand water. I've got 2 berry bushes, and what you'll have to do is unscrew the water hose that's connected to that sprinkler, and bring it around over all the way on this side, and just put the water at the ground, right at the base of the plant, and then let it just water for like 10 to 15 minutes. And then do the same thing over here, water right at the base of the plant for, probably 10 minutes is fine. Even 5 minutes if you are doing it every other day. And if you end up with any berries, you can see I've got some berries on here right now that are not ready to harvest, but here's some more that are not currently ready to harvest. But when they turn black, you can feel free to take off any berries that are on there and enjoy them. So, okay, so that's in the back of my yard. I'm gonna go up to the front. Oh, and let me just show you this real quick before I go up there. This is actually where the water is. So I'm actually gonna add a timer to this. So, and I probably am gonna get the same one that I had before, which is, it's broken now, but this one is the one that I'll be using. And it should be set to 15 minutes. So the little dial that you see will be set to 15 minutes. What you'll do when you get ready to water the berries is to set it to on, and that way the water will turn on. And then once you finish watering, you'll set it back to 15 minutes, and that way it'll be back on the automatic timer again. All right, so we're gonna go back up to the front of the yard. And I want to say, as I'm walking up here, thank you so much for your willingness to help us out. Help me out. I love my plants, and I really want them to be alive when I come back. Okay, so I'll start here in the front. You'll need to water this little plant here, just take the water hose and just basically just water it. It only takes like, 15-20 seconds just to make sure it gets some water. You'll water that, make sure that the soil inside it is fully saturated. Put some water in the bird bath for the little birdies. Put some water in basically all of the pots that I have here. Okay, all the little pots that you see here. You don't need to water those other plants. Those are drought resistant plants that do fine without water. But feel free to, if you want to just briefly water them, since you're in the area, it's not going to hurt them to get some water. Actually, it will be nice to get some water, but if you don't get those, it's okay. But what I'm going to ask is that you definitely, everything that's in a pot, you just saturate the pot, the soil with water. So all of these ferns, these are asparagus ferns. We'll get those. This English ivy. I think this is lavender, I think. Another plant. So all of these you will hand water. Go all the way back here. Hand water. That one, that's a hydrangea. Come back over here. You will not want to water this. This one actually doesn't need much water. So maybe once a week it needs to be watered. So maybe, just twice the whole time I'm gone, it probably needs to be watered. This one, I would go ahead. Again, one of the things you can do is if you just stick your finger in the soil, and then it comes back like this, where it's like, oh, this is still wet. You don't need to water any of the plants if they're like that. And then the rosemary. So if you do the little finger test on any of those pots and they're damp, again, you don't want to just put your finger on the top, but really stick your finger in the soil. And if it's damp, you don't need to water it. And so these are the other two pots that would also be watered. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna also have this set on a timer. So this whole area in the front will, I'll have it set up to where every morning it'll get a 15-minute watering. And let me just stop for a minute. Again, that pot right there you'll also need to make sure that one is watered as well. So all of the pot, everything in the pot. So what you will have to do, unfortunately, I'm trying to think. Okay, let me think about this for a second. Okay, so let's just come over here so you can see where the hose is. This is the front door, so it's right to your right is where the hose is. So you'll turn that on, and you'll notice there's a little T connector thing, and the one to the left is the one that you'll do the hand watering with. The way it works is when it's in this position, that means there's no water going down this path. When it's in this position, that means there is water going down that path. You can turn them both on to where there's water going down both at the same time, but you'll have to increase the water pressure significantly so there's enough water for each one of those paths. Right now, this one is on, and that is what's leading all the way over to the water system. So the sprinkler. So when you're using the sprinkler, you want to make sure it's in this position. When you get ready to hand water, you can have the sprinkler on again, so you can just turn this, and then you can have the sprinkler on and you can hand water, but you'll have to turn up the water pressure. Okay, so because I only have one sprinkler in the front and I want one of the hoses, to be available for hand watering, I'm only going to have one sprinkler on the water hose. And So you will actually have to bring the sprinkler over here in the evenings or whenever you come over to actually water this bed. I may not look like much, but I actually do have some plants in here. So you'll water all the way from the end. And usually I use the sprinkler for that because I can just set it for like 15 minutes. All the way down to this plant right here. So that's the front yard. I think that's everything. So there's the garden. I mean, you can always just look back at the video and get the review on everything, but I'm not gonna go through everything. So that's all you should really have to do in the front are all the pots and just that little area over there on the side with the sprinkler. And again, you could do both of them at the same time, but you will need to move the sprinkler back the way that you found it. It won't be in the position that it's in right now in this video because I'm gonna be using a different sprinkler, and I'm gonna put the sprinkler like kind of in the center of everything so it can water everything at one time. So just wherever I have it, make sure you put it back in that same position before you leave so that the next morning it'll be set and ready to go. And just like I showed you in the backyard, it'll also be on a timer, and you'll want to make sure you reset it to 15 minutes. That way it automatically waters everything. If you forget to do that, it won't water, and that'll mean you will have to water this when you come the next time. So test everything. If things are starting to look a little brown, or you're noticing that the ground is really hard and dry, that means please water it. Again, you can text me or call me if you have questions about anything. Thank you.